everybody, and welcome to Check It Out, monthly show about what's happening at the Bethel Park Public Library. I'm Mary Mullen.
And I'm Elaine Volpe.
And Elaine and I are here today to tell you about what's happening at the library in April. And we're going to invite our viewers to stay tuned today because we have a very special guest.
Indeed we do.
We stay tuned after our segment for our little segment, another segment with our guest, Gurney Bolster. Gurney is a certified Tai Chi instructor, and she did some Tai Chi exercising.
I learned a lot today.
I
have to
did.
say, I didn't have much of a background on Tai Chi, and I got that. Plus, we got to practice a little bit with her today. So
Yes. And
a great show.
Great show. And Tai Chi's, Gurney rather, is going to sit down and do a little interview with us, and then you're going to see some Tai Chi in action. So it's April, right?
It is.
And we've already sort of had an April Fool's kind of thing in March, right? Because Mother Nature has been toying with us, I think, a little bit. Yes. We had that lovely summer-like weather.
We did. And then just this morning we had that hailstorm.
The hailstorm,
welcome to spring. That's how spring is, I guess, right? You just never know.
It is very unpredictable, but at the library, we are very predictable because we always have good programs every month. So
that is true. So let's start with children's.
Let's talk about what's happening.
I just want to remind viewers that the programs for the little ones are coming to an end. We have 2 weeks left. That's for all of our regular story times plus Giggle and Wiggle and the Spanish class on Fridays. For the elementary age kids, there are 2 programs coming up in April that I want to highlight. One is the Pizza Taste Off for 3rd and 4th graders, because we usually do this with our teens. The teens love it. And I felt like we were always leaving the younger kids out. So this one is for specifically 3rd and 4th graders, and you can sign up beginning April 1st. Okay. And the date of the actual Taste Off, again, is April 10th at 5 p.m. So come hungry. We'll be sampling different pizzas from different shops around Bethel Park, and then the kids will have the opportunity to vote on which one they thought was the best. Okay. In different categories, and then the best all around.
Ooh.
Okay. And then we have a program called Chalk It Up that I'm really excited about. We did this a couple years ago where we decorated the courtyard out there and the ramp coming down to that back entrance of the library, and we're going to do it again, weather permitting, on April 25th at 5 p.m. So you just have to bring your imagination. We have plenty of chalk. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing chalk drawings outside, on the courtyard, on the ground, and then also up in the ramp and maybe on the walls. So, yeah, we're excited.
So then when
we're pretty it up.
When we come to work the next day, we have all the lovely pictures to walk through.
Absolutely. You don't need to be an artist to attend this program. Absolutely not. I mean, just bring some imagination. And if you just like to draw and have fun, then this program is for you. So that's for anyone. I don't think we put an age limit, so anyone in elementary school, K through 5, can come and play with chalk on April 25th. And then for the teens, we have 2 programs coming up that I'm really excited about. The first one is Fear Factor, and it's scheduled for Friday the 13th. Thought that was an appropriate date. And if you are brave enough, then I encourage you to come to this program. We're not going to be doing the I chose to do the lesser known phobias. I mean, everyone's heard of claustrophobia. You don't like being around big crowds. Arachnophobia, of course, is the fear of spiders. And Nancy and I were talking, I forgot to look this up. What is the fear of heights? Because that's a very popular one. But what is the technical term for that? I cannot think of it, and I should have looked it up before the show. But that's a very popular one, too. Well, I'm choosing for this program some lesser known fears and some sort of off-the-wall, bizarre fears that are out there, and then creating challenges for the kids to do. And then if they successfully complete all 7 challenges, they will have completed Fear Factor and they will earn a prize. All right. So, yeah, there's some neat stuff that we're going to do.
Now I'm going to think about that fear of heights.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't think of it. It's going to bother me. And then on Saturday, April 28th at 6 p.m., we're having a bake-off. So when you register for this, if you like to cook, guys and gals, when you register, you'll be given 3 secret ingredients, and you have to use those ingredients in your recipe. You can create whatever you like as long as the 3 ingredients are in there. Okay. And then you'll bring it in for us on Saturday, April 28th, for our panel of judges to taste and decide which one is the best.
Yeah, I've seen, that's like on the cooking
show. Kind of like a twist of, all the different cooking shows, Iron Chef, and there's so many out there.
Where they give them some odd kind of ingredient.
Right, or is it Top Chef? Yeah, right.
Something. Yeah,
right, but there's going to be 3 secret ingredients at our program that you have to somehow work into your recipe.
Okay.
So this is the first time we're trying it, but it's called Bake Off, and again, Saturday, April 28th. So that's it. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, all righty. Well, just to let our viewers know, we are coming to the end of another Taxing Tuesday season. We have 2 more weeks of tax preparation from AARP. Will be here April 3rd, April 10th. So if you still haven't gotten your taxes done yet, how about you?
I have to say I'm proud of myself, and mine are done.
Yeah,
my refund's on the way.
Yay! Yours too. All righty. So April 3rd, April 10th, 10 to 2 on Taxing Tuesdays. Let's see. We've got actually a couple different programs coming up in April. We have a program on Thursday, April 5th called Prevent Pain, Helpful Tips for Home and Work. And this comes courtesy of the South Hills Spine and Extremities Center. And it's going to be about how our everyday activities contribute to that neck pain, headaches, arm, leg pain, and advice on how to reduce and avoid pain just on a day-to-day basis. Thursday, April the 5th at 7 o'clock. Another program that may be of interest to both parents and teenagers is and this is presented by the Huntington Learning Center, and it's going to be a comparison of the 2 most popular and familiar college entrance exams, that's the SAT and the ACT. So if you are a student or a parent of a student who's coming up to that point where they have to take the test, you might want to attend this program. It'll give you an idea of what the differences are and what the similarities are. That's Thursday, April 12th at 7 p.m. And that is a program for both students and parents to come. They can come together for that program. Okay. Eric Martinez, who's the president of True Computers, will be here on Saturday, April 14th to do a program on buying a new computer, which is always a challenge for everyone. If you're in the market for a new computer and you don't know what to do, whether you want a desktop or laptop.
And Eric is very knowledgeable and very helpful because I bought my laptop off of him.
Oh, did you?
2 years ago.
Okay, all right.
Yep, and I was very pleased.
Okay, Saturday, April 14th at 11 a.m. And of course, we get to the middle of the month, and then we get into National Library Week, right?
That's right.
In April,
Yes.
and when it gets to be that time of the year, we know that it's time for the annual library book sale, right?
That's right.
So, and we are soliciting donations. So if you're doing your spring cleaning,
Time to clean out, yeah.
time to clean out, you can bring your books to the library. Our book sale this year will be April 19th. That's Thursday, April the 19th through Sunday the 22nd. Now the 19th, which is Thursday evening, will be a preview night. So it's not a night that's really open to the public. You've got to purchase a ticket. But that means you get an opportunity to see all the good stuff before anyone else does. So tickets are $25, and you'll get a big brown paper bag, and you can fill it up with as much as you like. So that's preview night, April the 19th. Tickets $25. And then the sale will be open to the public on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday, 10 to 5. And Sunday, the 22nd, the last day, will be 1 to 5. So bring in your books. See, I always think that's sort of funny. People bring in their books. They
buy more
Then
books.
they buy more books. We all do that. All righty. On Monday, April the 23rd, we have a program called Good Grief, which is actually a program about grief and mourning fundamentals. And I know I've frequently talked to people who have experienced a loss, and I know how challenging that can be. And I know so often people say, I don't think I should be feeling this way anymore. And in fact, I think there's this expectation that you are only supposed to grieve for a certain period of time, and you're supposed to be done.
Right.
And I think people find that that's not true. That's not true. And
And everybody's different, of course, too.
Right.
And it takes people,
takes people
different times,
different amounts of time. But this comes from the Good Grief Center, which is a bereavement support center. It's a nonprofit organization up in Squirrel Hill. And their director, Cynthia Oliver, will be here, and she's going to talk about the 6 tasks of mourning, some of the myths and symptoms surrounding grief, how to find support. So that will be Monday, April the 23rd at 7 o'clock. And then by the time we get to the end of April, it is time for the start of our Wise Walk program. Our spring Wise Walk program will kick off on Thursday, April 26th, here at the library. And we will be walking, normally we walk in South Park on Thursday mornings at 9:30, but our kickoff meeting will be at 10 a.m. that day because we have a speaker, Kathy Gillen from Wellness Road Trip.
Yes.
And I've heard great things about
I've
Kathy.
met Kathy and I've heard her speak, and she is wonderful, and she's actually going to do some programs for us this summer talking to kids about health and about diet.
Right. I thought it would be something that goes very nicely with exercise is about healthy eating and nutrition, which is very important because the two do really go hand in hand. So our Wise Walk kickoff meeting will be Thursday, April 26th at 10 o'clock. Then we'll be walking in South Park Thursday mornings at 9:30. Wise Walk, again, is a 10-week walking program for adults 50 plus. And you can join at any point. So if you can't make the kickoff meeting, that's fine. You come on over and meet us in the park.
And do you walk rain or shine?
We do walk. Well, that's a good question, because that always reminds me my Thursday morning quandaries on the rainy days. We will walk in the park. Let me put it this way. I have some walkers who don't mind walking in rain. Others prefer not to. I mean, if it's really bad, we do walk in the community center, on the track in the community center.
That's
basically what we do. But I've had experiences where I go one place,
Oh, really?
half the group's there and the other group's the other half. But I do try and encourage people to call me, and I always tell them that forces me to make a decision. I have to pick. I have to choose, because sometimes you're not too sure.
Right.
And there have been times we've gone to the community center, and guess what? We get in there and the sun is shining. But please join us for our Wise Walk kickoff program. And as always, all of our regular adult programming going on: Pinochle, Scrabble, book groups, knitting, our button club, our conversation salon, first Friday of the month, the genealogy group. Let me say, I have their date. Genealogy group, April 23rd. That's a Monday night at 7 o'clock. So, as always, if you want to know more about what's happening at the library, you can
click on our website.
You can give us a call.
Or better yet, come on in and see us in person.
Okay, and stay tuned for Gurney Bolster and Tai Chi. And we will see you next time. So long.
See you later.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Check It Out. Elaine and I are here today with our very special guest, Gurney Bolster. Gurney is a certified Tai Chi instructor, and she's here today to kind of introduce us to Tai Chi, and we're going to talk a little bit about it, kind of a special form of Tai Chi, which is Tai Chi for arthritis. Right? So before we talk about Tai Chi, let's talk about Gurney.
Okay.
Alrighty. Now, I know you sent me some information, background information about yourself, and I know you've been studying Tai Chi for a very long time, right?
Well, yes, but I have to say that it has been intermittent. I did start Tai Chi more than 30 years ago. I was living in Montreal and studied Yang style form, which for the beginner makes no difference, but if someone has already done Tai Chi, they might have done Yang style form. And so I studied that for a number of years, 3 years, 5 years, practicing it along with my dance training and my dance practice. So then my dance career kind of took over, and I was studying other forms of movement. My focus was always on movement development, motor development, movement analysis, sensory awareness. So I always would say that I was teaching movement to dancers. I didn't say say ever that I was teaching dance. And so I was working with very fundamental principles of how to move better so that the dancers could be more comfortable in their body, that they could perhaps prevent injury, restore themselves adequately after injury, helping them improve their coordination, improve their perception of movement so that they could learn more quickly. So in many ways, so that I have been doing for 30 years, and that fits in perfectly with Tai Chi, which is a different form. I mean, it is a dance-like form in some ways, but it is not dance. And the focus is that while we're doing the movement, or what I call the form of Tai Chi, we're focusing on our posture, our breathing, our coordination, our shifting of weight. So we're paying attention to how we move. We're not counting reps, and we're not just sort of doing it and waiting for it to be over. We're experiencing the movement and hopefully enjoying that experience, that sensory experience of breathing or being comfortable in your body, releasing tension. So that is the whole focus of Tai Chi. I trained with Dr. Lam in the Tai Chi for Arthritis form a year ago. And I had been already teaching Tai Chi in the Pittsburgh area, having moved here and kind of reestablished my career in about 2008. So I was teaching Tai Chi to older adults and kind of finding my own way to simplify the forms that I had learned, the traditional forms, so that it would be more appropriate to older adults in terms of their ability to balance or their range of motion or their memory. So when I found Dr. Lam's work, I was immediately very thrilled because he has done all this that I was searching to do. He has worked with medical professionals as well as Tai Chi professionals to create both a warm-up and a form, a few forms, but this one being the Tai Chi for Arthritis form, to provide a form which is safe, which is easier to remember, a little easier to do. It is designed to be symmetrical so that you work the body in a balanced way. So you're working on your memory, you're working on your coordination, on your balance, your core support. And it's just a very well-designed program. I immediately just fell in love with the program. And now I am teaching, I don't know, I could be teaching 20 classes a week or more. I need to clone myself soon. So.
Well, I can understand why you would be teaching so many classes, because I think, and our viewers are going to see us doing a little Tai Chi with you a little bit later on. It's graceful, it's flowing, it's movement, and gentle and easygoing. So I see the appeal. Even when you sent me descriptions of it, it was very just reading it made me kind of relax me. Just getting a sense of what it was like. Why did you tell our viewers? Let's just talk about what Tai Chi is. Just kind of a basic. If you had to define it to somebody, what is Tai Chi?
Tai Chi comes from China. It's hundreds of years old, and the origins of it are not really well understood. I guess they're not well documented, that's what I should say, in that it obviously was an oral tradition for hundreds of years, and then now there is more writing about it. Some of the struggle that we have is that, the writing's in Chinese, and then we have to figure out what that means in English. Tai Chi is originally a martial art, and while it doesn't resemble what we think of as martial art, and it's, the karate chop kind of thing, Tai Chi was always described as the inner martial art or the soft martial art, because we are learning to relax, we're learning to quiet our mind, we're learning to be calm and neutral in our demeanor. So we're loosening our muscles, we're getting a sense of support from our breath, from the inside of our body. So we're not building muscle, we're not even working in the way that we do as exercise in the sort of cardiovascular way. In Tai Chi, we're focusing more on our breath, more on our posture, more on our coordination and alignment. So we're trying to be very efficient in the way we move, focusing, as I said before, on how we move, on the quality of the movement, more than the quantity of movement. So some of the movements are very simple to remember, simple maybe to do, but the idea is that we are paying attention to what it feels like to breathe. What does it feel like to coordinate the movement of our hands and body with our breath, with our shifting of weight? So what I like about Tai Chi, even though it was developed as a martial art and is still used very seriously as a martial art, so there's Tai Chi sword technique, there's Tai Chi sparring, Tai Chi boxing, and Tai Chi is done in many of the martial art dojos, even throughout Pittsburgh. But more recently, I guess I would say in the 20th century and now, Tai Chi is recognized as being very helpful to prevent illness and to, as a daily exercise to strengthen your body. The word Qi in Tai Chi is usually translated as energy, vital force. It's translated also as breath and as air. So we're trying with our very gentle, slow-moving action to generate the energy in our body, to kind of cultivate it, to allow it to flow throughout our body so that we feel better. The idea of Qi is what is worked with in acupuncture. So an acupuncturist would put needles in your body to help the flow of Qi through your body. And so what we're doing is the same principle, but we are not using needles and we're using movement to help generate and allow the flow of movement through the body.
Okay. When you teach somebody you have a student for the first time is learning how to do it, what part of Tai Chi do you think people have the most trouble with?
I think the most challenging aspect of Tai Chi for Westerners is when I ask people to slow down. We're moving slowly and continuously. And so both the continuity of movement is hard for us, and mostly the slowing down is hard. We're slowing down our movement to help our mind slow down. And when our mind slows down, our breathing can slow down. And so it kind of keeps revolving around, and we are trying to quiet our mind, release tensions in our body, release the tensions of stress. And we're all under enormous amounts of stress, and to the point that we don't even realize how tight we are, or how much we have to multitask, or just hurry up all the time. And Tai Chi is a meditation in motion. That's the way it's described very often, because once we have understood some of the basics, and for some people that can happen pretty quickly in a few of the exercises, then you can enter into a very serene quality of mind and relax your mind. So it does become meditative. It is a meditation, and instead of doing it as a seated meditation, or some people meditate. I mean, there's many ways of meditating. Tai Chi is the movement of Tai Chi is very wave-like and continuous and flowing. And the image that we talk about is moving like water, or moving as if you're in water. So just to find a fluid continuity, find a wholeness to yourself where you're not fragmenting your mind or your left arm or your right arm or your foot, that you're moving your whole body in an integrated way. Tai Chi will always be done slowly, but so that we have time, I guess, to think about your breath, think about your posture, think about your movement, feel the connection and the continuity of movement. Luckily, it's done slowly, because the movement is quite complex, actually, and if it were done quickly, it would be really hard. But just simply slowing down is a huge challenge for Westerners.
Well, that's certainly, I don't know about Elaine, that's, we talked a little bit about.
We did, yeah.
The relaxation, the quieting our mind.
Right.
Quieting our mind. And, in a society where we're encouraged to multitask, too, we are encouraged to do many things at one time. And I like this idea that we slow down, quiet our minds, focus on something, instead of being so scattered all over the place.
And that something is ourselves. And again, because we are so solicited to deal with the outside world, we don't have that many learning opportunities to just come home to ourselves and be quiet and centered. So, I mean, yes, I could take a nap, or yes, I can sit down and watch TV to relax. But if I am moving slowly and paying attention to my breathing, to my posture, I'm nurturing myself, and I am releasing a lot of stress hormones that are running around in my body that in the long term are very debilitating for the body. And so part of the benefit, the health benefit of Tai Chi comes from the mind, comes from the fact that I am quieting my mind. I am able often to lower my blood pressure, balance my blood sugar, strengthen my immune system. There's all sorts of benefits that come from it that aren't always that different from Western exercise, but the way in which we approach it from Tai Chi is very different. And so for people, particularly older adults, someone who is coming out of injury or illness, who can't just jump on the treadmill and do their thing, Tai Chi is a wonderful complement and a wonderful alternative because it's very gentle.
Really, it is an exercise that can be done by just about anybody, right? I mean,
yes, I tell all my students you're never too young to learn Tai Chi, and you're never too old to learn Tai Chi.
Have you worked at all with children?
I have not.
Next question.
Yeah, I have not. But Dr. Lam has produced a DVD and a training certification called Tai Chi for Kids. And so he has worked very hard on that. I did my Tai Chi for Arthritis training, and then I followed up with a Tai Chi for Diabetes training. At that same time, he was doing 2 trainings, and so part of the group was studying the Tai Chi for Diabetes form, and the other was doing the Tai Chi for Kids form. And it was interesting to hear him speak about how long it took him to develop a form that would be, and develop a pedagogy, I guess. Instead of just making the kids do the same old Tai Chi form that we've been doing hundreds of years, and for martial art purposes. Dr. Lam has already changed the pedagogy a great deal for the Tai Chi for Arthritis. But for the Tai Chi for Kids, he's made shorter units, so that you can focus on something and then break away, and then focus on something else and break away. So with the idea that we're not requiring sustained concentration, which would be harder for children. But one of my colleagues he's from Pittsburgh, but he now works in Ohio for the cyber schools. And so he goes around to different communities and does Tai Chi and other martial arts for children. And that does help their concentration, and it certainly would support their learning.
And I know you have some books in the collection, right? There are some books on Tai Chi.
We do have a couple, yes.
Yes, of Tai Chi for Kids.
So I would imagine there would be the same benefits as you've spoke
Yes.
about with the adults. And unfortunately, kids too, I think, are under a significant amount of stress.
Right. So giving them some guidance and opportunity. So it's not just, sit still and be quiet.
Right.
Well, let's do this. Oh, lo and behold, standing on one foot makes me have to be quiet because I really have to concentrate so I don't fall over and I can't giggle or tickle the guy next to me. I have to really focus. And so Tai Chi does enhance focus and does enhance concentration. And because of the relaxing the mind, it does allow us to just feel refreshed after and ready to deal with the schoolwork or the stress or the whatever, with the concept that if I am rested and kind of feeling comfortable in my body, then I will be able to be more efficient in whatever I need to do. So that's the whole idea of it.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Dr. Lam, and perhaps you could tell our viewers about this specific kind of program and how it works well with arthritis patients.
Well, I'll lift this up so you can see it. This is a DVD that is produced by Dr. Lam. This is Dr. Paul Lam. He is an Australian physician of Chinese origin, and he has been doing Tai Chi since his early 20s to alleviate his own arthritis. He was diagnosed with osteoarthritis in his teens. And now he's in his 60s. He took Tai Chi extremely seriously and was a very high-performing martial artist. He trained in Beijing. He competed in Beijing, so he has done his Tai Chi very seriously. But at the same time, as a medical doctor, he knew that there were people coming to his office who weren't interested in martial arts and weren't interested in the competitive aspect of Tai Chi, wanted to just, needed to do some exercise that would benefit them. So he started producing, he has a school in Sydney, Australia. I guess I forgot to mention that he's living in Australia. He has a school, and then he was producing DVDs and videotapes called Tai Chi for Beginners, Tai Chi for Older Adults, Tai Chi, the 24 Form, and so forth. So he was producing DVDs that were showing the traditional Tai Chi forms, as well as DVDs that were destined for beginners. And he's paid a lot of attention to how we can teach Tai Chi differently than the old traditional way, so that it's a little more user-friendly, a little more encouraging, not competitive, progressive in how it's presented, so that it's not too difficult too soon, and that you can get a sense of accomplishment and gain self-confidence and feel some benefits from it, even when you're doing some of the very basic things. And then hopefully you like it and you want to do a little more, and then you like it and you want to do it every day, or keep doing it, because of course, like any form of exercise, it's the continuing to do it that helps you. So what's nice about these DVDs that he has produced, and there are any number of them in the Allegheny County Library System, that they are teaching tapes. It's lesson by lesson, and you can learn at home with Dr. Lamb in your living room. Although it's wonderful to have a teacher too. I mean, it's important to have a teacher too. If you've already done some Tai Chi, then you understand some of the principles and can learn it more quickly. But if you're really new at it, if you live somewhere out in the I don't know, wherever far off, it's nice to be able to have access to lessons without finding a teacher. But in Pittsburgh, there are certainly many Tai Chi teachers. At the moment, I happen to be the only Tai Chi for Arthritis teacher offering classes to the public. The first training that was offered by the Arthritis Foundation was last March. And so some of us were from here, some of us were from elsewhere, and now they're working on getting a second training. Certainly for me, with my dance background, his work just feels extremely comfortable for me, and I really like teaching the Tai Chi for Arthritis forms, and hopefully soon there'll be other teachers offering more classes.
What is it about Tai Chi that makes it such a good form of exercise for arthritis patients?
The fact that we are focusing on two basic principles in Tai Chi. One is the idea that we would expand from the inside with our breathing, moving with our breath, and the other is loosening your muscles. So part of that is just in your imagination, actually. You can just sit upright or stand upright and just imagine your body expanding. We're trying to gain a little bit of tone around the joints and have a sense or an image of expansion within each joint. So instead of compressing your joints because of squishing or weakness of muscle, or compression because of muscle tightness, we're trying to loosen our muscles and expand. So our joints literally have more room to move. Then the rest of the movement is about kind of a wave-like motion of opening and closing in some way, expanding and contracting in all different directions. So we're moving within a comfortable range of motion in the joints. We're never hyperextending. We're never reaching in a funny direction. So we're always centering our bones within our joints. We're always moving in a curvilinear way. So it ends up helping to pump, quite literally, synovial fluid within our joints. Part of what we're doing, as I said, is releasing muscular tension, so then we're releasing the compression on the joints. As we start to feel more comfortable and have a little more range of motion, we start to have less apprehension of pain or apprehension of falling, and we gain more ease, we gain more confidence. The risk of falling for people with arthritis is great, in the sense that if we feel stiff and awkward or fearful, then we are more likely to fall. So by lowering our center of gravity, finding more fluidity and agility in our legs, more strength in our legs, more postural support, we feel more balanced, more centered, more integrated. and then everything gets a little easier.
Alrighty. Why don't you talk a little bit about where you're teaching the Tai Chi for Arthritis classes?
Yes, I am teaching in a number of places. At the moment, I am setting up classes in Mount Lebanon. Those will begin in soon after Easter. So that is at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Mount Lebanon. Okay. I am also currently teaching at the Franciscan Spirit and Life Center in Whitehall. So some of those classes are ongoing, but the progression of Tai Chi is fairly slow. So if you miss the first few classes in a series of 8, you can still enter in and catch up. I teach through the West Penn Allegheny Health System, so I'm teaching at AGH in the North Side. I offer classes also in the new Peters Outpatient Care Center that's part of West Penn, so that's in McMurray. I'm teaching an ongoing class at the JCC in the South Hills, Scott Township, and as of May, I will be starting a class at Health Tracks. So depending on what location, most of my classes are in the daytime because I prefer to be teaching in the daytime, although I know that not everybody can take classes in the daytime, so I do have evening classes. My classes, so each location, I'm not, everything doesn't fall into kind of one systematic package, so things kind of come and go at different times. So the best thing, I guess, did you say there'll be a little ticker tape?
I believe we will have we'll put a little ticker across the screen.
Okay, so with a little
more
ticker,
information about where Gurney's teaching.
So I can name the locations and provide telephone numbers where people could call me. And if a location feels like that's a good location, then call me with that number, and then you'll find out the days. And if the day doesn't work, you'll try another number and see. Anyway, but I am teaching mostly in the South Hills, and teaching a lot. So.
Why don't you talk very briefly about your exercise classes over at Lifespan at the Bethel Park Senior Center, because there's another place that people can exercise with Gurney. So talk a little bit about the classes at the community center.
Okay. So when I first moved to Pittsburgh from Montreal and started teaching, I decided that I would, instead of teaching college students, which is what I had been doing in Montreal, I would teach older adults. Because, you know, when we get older, we need to slow down and need to pay attention to our body and care to do that more than you care when you're 20 years old. So I have had the opportunity to teach exercise classes, Western exercise classes, I call it. I don't know quite what to call it, but, you know, aerobics and resistance work with weights and stretch bands. So I've been teaching through Lifespan Senior Services, and at the moment I am currently teaching at the community center, the Bethel Park Community Center, for Lifespan. So it's the morning classes on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's a class that has an aerobic portion, standing and moving our feet in rhythmic ways, and then using weights or bands, sitting down. We're not using mats. We never are lying on the floor. So we're either standing or sitting to do any of our work. And I end up infiltrating some Tai Chi into that because I use that partly in part of the warm-up, partly in part of the cooling down. But really, I guess because of being a movement educator for 30 years, again, I'm not just interested in banging out reps. I'm interested in teaching people how to move and how to feel more comfortable in their body. And why are we doing this exercise? And what should you be paying attention to while we're doing this exercise? So you're doing this exercise to benefit yourself, and you should not be hurting yourself while you do this exercise. So I talk a lot, and so I couldn't possibly be counting reps because, so some of my students sometimes count reps, or I just listen to the music and try to work with the flow of the music and the phrasing of the music. So, okay, this is an 8-count phrase, so we've done it 8 times. And so now we can move on. So those classes are, in theory, offered to people, 60 and up, but I guess it could be 50 and up. My students, I guess, generally have some younger folks sometimes, or some daughters sometimes who come to visit. But generally, my students are in their 60s and 70s and 80s, and one fine young gentleman who just turned 90.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to ask if you had any men in your class. I guess most of the time when I've happened to be over there and see you in action. I've seen mostly women.
It is mostly women, and typically it's women who tend to gravitate toward a group fitness class.
Okay.
The men seem to like the machines better.
That's true.
But I do get some men who want to improve their golf game, some men who are just who enjoy the camaraderie, because that's an important part, and it's a wonderful atmosphere at the with that group at the community center. Many of them have known each other for 40 years, and they bring in friends, and so it's a wonderful thing. It's kind of a word of mouth exposure, but it's a real community thing. It's really
Is that class ongoing year-round?
that is ongoing.
Can
So it's a
people-
drop-in class.
A
You
drop-in?
can come anytime.
Okay.
The first class is always free, and so you just have to show up and join in and
Okay.
take it easy at first, and some people stick with it. And there's a nice group of loyal people who are there together. And for other people, they find a different day or a different class, or some people don't stick with exercise. But the nice thing about that community center is that I can teach 3 times a week for the same group. Some people come twice a week, some people come 3, some people come every Tuesday, and they're busy the other days. But there's a very nice camaraderie that is supportive of everyone.
Yeah, I know a lot of the ladies
Right.
in your class, and they are
Right.
a lovely group. Lovely group.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to now. You're going to see a demonstration
Okay.
that Gurney did with myself and Elaine. And why don't you tell our viewers what they're going to see when they see
Okay.
the next part of this segment.
Okay. So I will be presenting to you the Tai Chi for Arthritis form. And by form, I could say also, I could use the word routine or set. It's actually a choreography. It's a sequence of movement that we gradually learn and do usually in silence. I can sometimes have background music just to help us relax. And so this form, called the Tai Chi for Arthritis form, as I said, was developed in Australia. It was endorsed by the Arthritis Foundation in 2004, I think. So it's fairly new. I mean, within 10 years, it's fairly new within the United States. And the American Arthritis Foundation is promoting it and organizing training programs so that there's more teachers. So you will see me doing the Tai Chi for Arthritis form. This lasts about 6 minutes, I think, but it can, with the students that I have students that I meet with once a week, and they're pretty loyal. And some of them have some aches and pains or issues, but they're healthy adults who are taking Zumba class one day and Tai Chi class another day. And we've been working for a year, and we're doing half of what I'm going to show you now. So the learning curve is slow. We just take our time, and then gradually feel more comfortable in it. It's in the form, that sequence of movement, where we get the greatest meditative effect, because we're moving slowly and continuously, needing to concentrate on what direction am I going in, what's the sequence. So we're concentrating all the time on our movement, and in that way relaxing our mind and having a kind of quiet, meditative, recuperative time. And then to build up to the form as we learn it and as I show it, I always lead people through a warm-up. So you'll also see me leading a warm-up, not all the exercises that we do, but with my 2 students here, we were doing some warm-up, so I'm not sure how it'll be edited to see that before I do the form or after I do the form. But so there's always a warm-up to prepare our body, to teach in an easier way movements that help us develop better balance, better coordination, better concentration, improving our posture, improving the efficiency with which we breathe. And so then when we learn the form, the more complex sequence, we have some some foundation to make that a little easier. So you'll see a bit of the warm-up, which I do in the beginning of the class. I like saying that one of my students, after a few weeks, decided that warm-up really wasn't a good name for it, because it's not the cardiovascular warm-up that we think of.
Different.
And he said it's really a tune-up. So I kind of like that idea. It is a tune-up. It's kind of you're balancing your alignment, you're lubricating your joints. It's more like a tune-up.
I like that.
And
I do.
and so sometimes in a beginning class, I spend most of the first or second class with the warm-up, tune-up, just getting used to what is the flow, what is the feel of this, and then very gradually presenting the more complex movements. So the good thing in Tai Chi, we're not in a hurry. We don't believe in perfection. So we just believe in doing it and benefiting from it each time. So we're not focusing on the goal. I mean, what's nice about Tai Chi is we can achieve part of the goal pretty quickly. Like, oh, I feel relaxed, or I feel, some people will feel tired, or I feel relaxed, I feel good. People have told me after 1 or 2 classes that their balance is better, or even their golf score was better. So whatever. But the long-term benefit of Tai Chi, the overall benefit of doing a little bit every day, being gentle with yourself, being aware of yourself, taking care of yourself, a little bit every day goes a long way. And so that's really what we're learning, whether that's to just build strength and prevent illness, or whether that's because I've already had some issues and I want a gentle way to help me restore my well-being.
All right. Well, I thank Gurney for being our guest today, and I invite all our viewers to stay tuned. You're going to see some Tai Chi in action. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure.
So what I always do to start a class is ask people to wiggle their toes a little bit. Feel your feet, relax your body. You want to position your feet in the traditional Tai Chi stance, which would mean your feet are parallel, about the same width as your shoulders. We want a wide base. And then you want to just kind of relax enough to let the weight of your body drop into your feet. So the first movement we'll do, we want to raise our arms in front and then just hold them in front of your torso as if you're holding a balloon. So you can just stand here for a moment and check your posture, just reaching up a little bit with the top of your head and at the same time letting your weight settle into your feet. And feel the movement of your breathing. And now as you breathe in, I want you to widen a little bit with your hands, and as you breathe out, you push together. So you're just trying to move slowly and continuously, trying to feel relaxed. Focus on the feeling of breathing, and as you inhale, you widen, expanding. As you exhale, you push together. So just like your breathing acts rather like a pump, let your hands act like a pump as well. So you're pulling apart, and then you're pushing together, just with a slight intention, a gentle force, pulling and pushing. As if with your breath, you could inflate a little bit and then deflate. So even though I'm leading and I'm breathing at my rhythm, I want you to breathe at your own rhythm. So if your rhythm is faster than mine, your movement would be faster. You want to integrate the movement of your breathing and the movement of your arms. So you feel a unity, a synchrony between the movement of your breathing and the movement of your hands, your arms. So do that one more time. Imagine yourself to be expanding as you inhale and releasing as you exhale. So stay here for a moment, breathing in, and now breathe out and lower your hands. And then breathe in and raise your hands. So keep your hands almost parallel. Be comfortable in your shoulders. And again, working with your own breathing rhythm. So if your breathing is faster than mine, your movement would be faster. You could even do it with your eyes closed if you feel comfortable with that. Inhaling and rising with the breath. Exhaling and sinking, settling, lowering. We'll stand again in the parallel position, and this time your hands will be at either side of your body. Just again, try to relax your shoulders. You always want to feel relaxed. That's what's ironic about Tai Chi. We're doing an exercise, but we're always being asked to relax. So this time you're going to breathe in as you raise your hands. Breathe out and push in toward your shoulders, trying to expand across your shoulders. And then pushing away, but don't lean forward. Lowering down, lower your chin, lower your gaze. So this is an exercise to just bring some mobility to your neck. Pushing in, drawing your shoulders back, widening. Pushing forward without leaning forward, and lowering down. And we'll do it one more time. Lifting up as you inhale, looking forward. Pushing in and drawing your shoulders back, drawing your chin in a little bit. Reaching forward and down. And then another exercise for our neck. We're just going to bring our hands up again in the same position, shoulder height. Now I'll mirror you. I want you to push down with your right hand. And this is stabilizing you. You're pushing toward the floor. And your other hand, you're going to look at your fingertips. Relax your shoulder, relax your elbow. Then you want to open wide to your left. Not real big. It's not a stretch and not a strain. Come back to center. Change your hands, so one slides up, the other slides down. So you're pushing down for stability, and then opening wide. Staying in front of yourself so it's not a big twist. Wanting to open your shoulder and turn your head and neck. Push down with one hand, stay stable through your torso, and just open across your shoulder, turning your head and neck. We'll do it one more time to the other side. So we're going to reestablish our parallel stance. You want to always have wiggle room in your knees, so you never want to push back with your kneecaps. And so this time, we're going to stand here again with our hands holding this imaginary ball. And this time I'm going to push down with one hand, doesn't matter which one really, and push up with the other one. And now come through the center. And again, pushing down with one hand, pushing up toward the ceiling, up toward the sky. So you only want to push as high as it feels comfortable. So if it bothers your shoulder to push high, then maybe you just go to there. That would be fine. Gathering in, and just breathe as we go, trying to move slowly and continuously, trying to stretch through your spine. Gathering in, and then imagine you could expand your spine, both downward and upward. Coming in one more time, and expanding, lengthening, pushing down and reaching up. We'll do one more exercise that comes from this same position. We're going to stand on one leg again. This time I'm going to reach out with my heel. Then I'm going to drop my toes. We call that empty because I don't have weight on the back, on my front foot. Now I shift my weight forward, and then I extend my opposite arm. Good. So come back and change your feet. So shift to the other side. Reach out with your heel. Then the ball of your foot, your whole foot is down. As you shift your weight, you want to extend your arm. Keep both heels on the ground. Good. And then you feel like, or you can imagine, that as you shift your weight, touching lightly first, as you shift the weight, the extension of your leg is what extends your arm. So that sequence is up from the floor all the way out to your arm. One more time. If we would breathe with this, we would want to be exhaling here and inhaling here. So then we just do one last little thing. I mean, there's more that we can do, but just one last thing, just stabilizing on one leg, putting your hands here to just remind you to breathe and keep your center active. And then just touching lightly with your heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. Change your feet. And the other side, just keep breathing, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. Keep breathing, other foot. So this will be the outside of the heel, the inside of the ball of the foot, to get a little lateral mobility in your ankle. Try not to lean on it. Put it down and keep breathing. And one more time. Out, in, out, in, out, in, and relax. So that is a partial warm-up. I skipped over a few exercises, but the idea of the warm-up is that we begin with the breath and the hands, trying to just find simplicity and unity in our body. And then it's very systematic in the sense of working with the neck, mobilizing the neck, the shoulders, which I skipped, the torso, the hips, knees, and ankles. So it has a kind of developmental framework in terms of mobilizing the joints. The whole idea of Tai Chi for arthritis is to gain mobility, gain ease of motion, gradually gaining some strength, but also range of motion and comfort in the movement. So we're focusing on breathing and standing upright and always being relaxed. So that's what I think is the paradox of Tai Chi for Westerners, is that we're doing exercise, which is very good for us. All the literature shows that there are many benefits, and yet we're always being taught to relax. So it really is a meditation in movement. We're trying to be very quiet and calm, and at the same time move our body, which is a nice combination of events. So, there we go.